Hello and welcome to Big Dumb Movie, where three virgins light the black flame candle on your favorite big dumb films.
Oh, don't include me in that statement.
Shut up. I'm your host, Korey, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Alan.
Hello.
And Steve, who's not a virgin.
Thank you. I needed that footnote.
Wait, I didn't get to say that.
No, neither of us. Steve's the only one that's gonna lie.
You're married.
Well, this movie's sure to remind you of that.
Yeah, a virgin lit the candle, my friend. Don't you remember?
It's true.
Happy Halloween, guys. It's October. Probably. It's the Halloween season. We're doing our Halloween films.
Yes.
Slash horror films, I guess.
Right.
Some are more Halloween themed than others. And hey, you know what? That's okay. Now, we're going to talk about Hocus Pocus here very soon. But there's something that kind of happened on the internet recently. I guess it didn't happen on the internet, but the internet has been made aware and is causing kind of an uproar. So, you guys know who Bob Iger is?
Mm.
Yes.
He is. He's the CEO of Disney, for those that aren't in the loop. He recently put out a book called The Ride of a Lifetime. And in this book, it's about kind of his journey to getting to where he is today and his experiences at Disney and stuff like that. But he has a chapter called Star Wars. And in this chapter, it goes over his relationship with George Lucas and the eventual acquisition of Lucasfilm to Disney. Now, the reason that this has created a little bit of a controversy is because in this chapter, he describes how Lucas has... I mean, he says it himself in this book. He says Lucas felt betrayed by Disney after they bought Lucasfilm. You guys have any idea why that might be?
Oh,
I want to take a guess?
Yeah, I've heard a bit about this. I mean, it's the same thing. Lucas had a bunch of ideas, I mean, for decades, a bunch of ideas flushed out for what he wanted the sequels to be like, and apparently the studio pretty much just said no to all of them after the fact.
Look how the prequels turned out.
Exactly.
That's basically more or less it. So when they bought Lucasfilm, it was Bob Iger who pretty much worked with Lucas. They've had a relationship in the past since the days of the Young Indiana Jones series.
And Disney had been trying to buy Lucasfilm for a long time, and Lucas resisted it for a long time because he was concerned about what they would do with his product.
Isn't that the point of buying the company or a part of the deal? They could just do whatever they want. Why would he sell that to them and then expect them to do what he wants? That's why you sold it to him.
I think the expectation was that you're buying an established product and you don't fuck with it. You just let it keep being profitable for what it is.
Bought it. You could do whatever the fuck you want with it.
But you're right. But it wasn't a matter of you're not allowed to. It was just a matter of why would you buy something that was already this popular and then decide to tweak it?
That makes sense when you put it like that.
You know, and why take it from the hands of its creator and then ignore the ideas he had for it? But at the same time, your prequels point was valid too. Plus, I'm going to bring up the special edition releases. Lucas had been beating those films to death for decades already. Like, if anyone was doing harm to them, it was him. So
yeah, they needed like a fresh,
exactly,
like a reboot.
I mean, Abrams and Rian Johnson have done a much better job with those films than he was doing with them. So I'm sort of sure that comment's going to piss somebody off.
Oh, it is for sure. And being in the Star Wars community, I've learned to not say too much on that topic publicly. But on some levels, I do agree with you. Obviously, he did the original trilogy, which is a masterpiece.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Well, the original versions of them are fantastic. After all the shit he's done to them, I'm not sure they're as good anymore. But I
like some of the additions and not others.
Yeah.
It made money, though, so isn't that go against the point? I mean, like you said, why mess with it if it's making money, but they still made money, or they made more money with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've made
so then
a lot of money from it.
They're in the right then. Even if they messed with it, they made money off it.
Well, I mean, you're right, but it was inevitable. Like,
here's the real crux of the controversy.
Could have been 3 hours worth of Princess Leia on the toilet. It would have made money.
That's true.
What it boils down to is I mean Lucas, he had some outline scripts, not like completed, but, you know, some general concept ideas that he had sold to Bob Iger around the time of the acquisition, not as part of it. But he separately sold these ideas to Bob Iger, and they said, basically, we may use these. So we're going to buy them from you because when we get Disney, we might want to use these things.
Right.
Apparently, Lucas was under the impression that meant we will definitely use them. And Bob Iger was under the impression that we might, but probably not. So there's kind of two sides to that.
There's only one right answer. Which one is it? What did they really say?
Well, it's not in the contract. So from my point of view, it's like, well, they didn't write it into the contract because obviously they were considering not doing that. Which
So Lucas is wrong.
I mean, what do you think, Steve? Is Lucas in the wrong? Is Iger in the wrong? I mean,
if there was an intentional attempt to really make him think that that was definitely going to form the foundation for what they made, then I guess shitty behavior on Disney's part. At the same time, Lucas had been around that industry long enough to know that unless you've got it in a contract, and sometimes even if you've got it in a contract, like it's not necessarily going to happen, it was separate from the rest of the deal. And I don't disagree with you, but to your point about the OT taking a half step back real quick, Lucas only really made a third of the OT himself, if you think about it. Like, he wrote and directed 4, but 5 and 6 he co-wrote and with Kasdan and Kirshner, and then let them direct them.
Well, someone else directed Return of the Jedi, but go on.
You know, I mean, like, his best work has frequently come out of letting other people just take his core idea and run with it. But
I think that was also a lot in the first Star Wars movie, in A New Hope, because that was before Lucas was the guy on the pedestal that you didn't say no to.
Right.
That was when he had, you know, people... the editors like disagreed with him, and he ended up going through a couple, and I think his wife did the final edit, and like this would really polish off the ending space battle.
Yeah, I mean, that was I think you're absolutely right, and I think it really screwed up the experience with 1, because if you watch the behind the scenes footage from Phantom Menace, there are scenes of him sitting with Rick McCallum in the screening room at Skywalker Ranch, and you can tell no one else likes what they're seeing. And the version of the story that I've read and heard repeated over the years is that pretty much everyone else could see the direction they were going wasn't right. No one wanted to be the one to tell George that was the case. He had this huge fantasy he just wanted to play out, and everyone was just kind of, it's George, let's just trust that it's going to play the way he's saying it's going to play.
I think it's okay to let other creative people take a creative property and run with it.
Absolutely.
Like, X-Men didn't really get good until Claremont. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, the 60s X-Men, I think it was 60s or 70s. I've read like the first like 25 to 30 issues. It's not good.
No, I mean, there's some of the stuff from like 84, 85 forward, just before Claremont. Actually, Claremont might have been on that early.
I know he got on in the 80s, but it might have been. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I might go as far back as, whether or not he was there already, I might go as far back as like 85, but otherwise I'd agree with you. The stuff from pretty much any time before that was a lot weaker.
But the whole thing is that people are kind of mad at Disney because they feel like they fucked over George Lucas with this semi-verbal agreement. I mean, we'll never really know what happened.
A lot of these people are also angry about the midi-chlorians retcon, and I'm never going to feel bad about that.
Couldn't Lucas take him to court if it was really that case, or couldn't he have some kind of like legal recourse?
No, he has absolutely like no legal precedent on this.
So then, then he's wrong. I mean,
it's just
I don't
fanboys
understand.
who hate the new films looking for a reason to be angry about them, of which they've got a list about 1,000 items long.
In some cases, that's true. I got all this info from a YouTuber who has a channel called Star Wars Theory.
Right.
And he's not a huge like sequel hater. He has like the biggest Star Wars channel out there, and I expected him to be, but he actually wasn't. But he's still like, he's a big time Lucas fanboy, so he's definitely on his side. But
they're not perfect, you know. But damn, man, people act like they're just The Godfather 3 or something.
They act like they're the NBC show Punky Brewster,
right?
Which is getting a reboot.
Wow, I didn't know that. All right,
You just ruined Steve's day.
Yeah, so NBC is putting out like an app, because that's the thing now. Every network's gonna have an app. And they're having their own original content, and part of it is Punky Brewster, all grown up.
Grown up?
No longer an orphan.
So wait, is Soleil Moonfry going to be on it again? As an adult?
Yes.
Oh my god, I thought you meant reboot like it was going to be a little girl again.
I guess I should have rephrased that. Sequel, or continuation, whatever you want to say.
Continuation?
If there's no dog named Brandon, I'm not interested. And Cherie better be on it again. But she's got to keep herself out of the fridge this time.
You gonna watch some Punky Brewster?
I might.
Now they just need to bring back Small Wonder.
Dude, I liked that show when I was little. It was terrible. It's really, really a bad show.
So trash.
It is. It's garbage. But like at 5, I thought it was neat. You know?
I'm still waiting for Family Matters.
The new Family
with Urkel.
Oh, I liked Family Matters a lot. That's a good one.
I'm still waiting for
Bring that back, and this time Urkel's the head of the family.
Well, speaking of 90s properties, here we are talking about Hocus Pocus. Alan, maybe you can tell us what the budget and return was for this.
Okay, the budget was $28 million, and the box office was 39.5, but it was not a commercial success, even though it's made money.
I think the rule here is, and Steve can maybe clarify this, you have to make double the budget.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a hard rule, but it's definitely a goal. I think part of the problem is they released this film in July to avoid it competing with Nightmare Before Christmas, and July is just the wrong time of year for a Halloween movie.
I think that is a big contributing factor as to why it wasn't so well received.
Because it really is not a bad movie. I think it would have done better if it had been released later than it was. I can understand not wanting to overlap, but they could have released it the last week in November or something.
This is another movie, like the third movie in a row, where I'm really confused on how the budget was $28 million. That's a lot for 1993, and especially considering there was some cool effects, but nothing like really that crazy in this movie, and it was $28 million.
I don't know, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's about average.
You got a big singer at the time.
Special effects, like, I guess it was all practical, really, and that's a lot. But
I mean, even the lowest paid cast are getting a few $100,000 a piece, unless they're extras. The larger stars may have gotten a couple of million a piece. Plus the crew, the post-production, the marketing. I would say it's about right. I would bet if Jurassic Park was 2 years older than this, or same year.
Came out same year.
Same year, yeah. So I bet if you looked at it, I bet its budget was triple what this was.
Oof.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Now, the director of this, his name's Kenny Ortega. He did that Christian Bale joint, Newsies.
Oh, I didn't remember anything about that dude. I'd forgotten Newsies was one of his. There are a lot of people who really like Newsies. Yeah. Seth Green's in it too, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. It's been years since I've seen it.
This guy also did all the High School Musical movies.
Ugh, gross. Well, that makes sense.
Well, what do you know about how this was cast, Steve?
Not a whole lot except two what I think are sort of interesting casting moments. One of the main kid character, Max, the studio Disney originally offered that part to Leo DiCaprio, and he turned it down to do What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which probably was a better choice.
No, far inferior movie.
Right?
I never saw that one.
And then, it's a great performance from him. A good movie. And then the Allison character, his sort of pseudo love interest who helps them out, that part Jennifer Lopez apparently auditioned for, but I don't think they ever got to the point where they offered her the part. But yeah, I mean, as far as casting, I think otherwise they got pretty much everyone they wanted.
I know that Rosie O'Donnell was in talks for playing Mary, one of the Sanderson sisters. But
yeah.
She didn't want to do it.
She said she didn't want to play a scary character for some reason.
Right.
Although apparently
she wasn't that scary.
I can't wait. Year did League of Their Own come out?
Oh, shit.
Because I know the two of them liked working with each other, and I can't remember whether or not that was before or after this, but yeah.
What about Sarah Jessica Parker? She's pretty young in this.
Yeah, she'd been in a few other things. She'd done a Steve Martin movie called L.A. Story that was super popular. And she'd appeared in 3 or 4 other films, I think, but she often got cast as a sort of done blonde, sort of bimbette.
Well, she's kind of like the quirky, dumb one in this, too.
Right?
She plays the part pretty well, I'll say.
Hottest one, for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, she was the quirkiest on set, I think. I know that she wanted to be left up in the broom harnesses when they had to put them in harnesses to do the scenes where they're flying on the brooms. She found it so comfortable that she was between takes when the others wanted to be let down. She was like, "Nah, just leave me up here."
She reminds me almost like a Harley Quinn, kind of like the quirky, semi-insane one.
Yeah, it's true.
I could see that.
It's kind of like the Priss of this group.
Yeah.
Our friend Pappy from the Spoilers podcast, he was talking on one of their more recent episodes about how when he was a little kid and he saw this one movie, and that was the first time he had sexual attraction to a woman. I think mine might be Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie.
Yeah, she was very hot.
When I was a kid, I think that was the first time I had those kind of feelings, where I thought a woman was sexy.
And she's a witch. She's a sexy witch.
Started the whole trend, probably, for all we know. Steve, what was your experience with seeing this?
My father's sister worked in production at Disney for a long time and was aware of this film being in production. I think might have known some of the people involved in producing it. So, she took my brother and I to see it. I think it in Universal City. I don't remember now. I was 10. And it might have been a pre-release screening, 'cause she could get into some of them at the time, and really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, my brother was 6. I don't remember what he thought of it at the time, but I really liked it. Yeah.
What about you, Alan?
I remember seeing it on the Disney Channel quite frequently. Like the late 90s, like a couple years after it came out. It was always replaying on the Disney Channel, and every Halloween it was always on just because it was a Halloween movie. So it was always on the Disney Channel.
So you kind of grew up on it in a way.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I did as well. I don't know if I had it on VHS or if I saw it on the Disney Channel myself, but I definitely saw it at home as a kid, and I watched this one quite a lot. And, several years later, that movie that Disney did, Halloween Town, also came out. And as far as I'm concerned, those are like the two, like, Disney Halloween movies, the two main ones for me. I mean, if Nightmare Before Christmas kind of goes more into the Christmas side than Halloween, I think. What do you guys like better, Halloween Town or Hocus Pocus?
What, is Halloween Town a different movie from Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, Halloween Town.
I never saw Halloween Town.
I don't remember that one
You
at
guys
all.
didn't see Halloween Town?
No.
You know?
No.
It's also about witches. Like, the girl finds out her family is actually witches. It has, what's her name? Debbie Reynolds in it.
I might have been aware of it at the time, but I have no memory of it now.
Yeah,
Wow,
I'm drawing
what
a
the
blank.
fuck? All right, well, listeners, since I can't rely on these assholes, if
Yeah.
you're listening in, comment what you like better, Halloween Town or Hocus Pocus. I want to hear someone's thoughts.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything from me on that.
No worries. Well, let's talk about Hocus Pocus itself.
All right.
Take 2. All right. So it starts off 300 years before the current day of 1993. That's the current day, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's today. That's what year it is right now. This recording, right?
Oh, yeah, it takes place today for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it takes place in 1963 at the very beginning of the film.
1693.
Oh, yes.
That's an important distinction. It's not hippies, it's pilgrims. It's not even
The
pilgrims.
Vietnam War is in full swing.
The witches of Vietnam.
Oh, fuck
Nixon's going to
this.
get those witches.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay, so it's 1693 in Salem, Massachusetts, and we get to meet Thackeray Binks, whose name I thought for many years was Zachary Binks, but it is not. It is Thackeray. Alan,
Yeah,
why don't you tell us about this beginning portion here?
Kind of an odd name, Thackeray. I'm glad you brought that up because every time I think about that, I want to think the exact same thing. I want to think Zachary because Thackeray is not a real name.
Plus, Zachary's a 90s as fuck name.
Yeah.
Zachary Taylor Thomas. Wait, no, that's
Zachary
Jonathan.
Ty Bryant.
Yeah, what? God damn it.
Come on, get your home improvement kids straight.
It's too much
Okay.
nicotine.
But we're back at Thackeray Binks, and this is 1693. So it's like a pre-American War, like Massachusetts colony. And they live in like a log cabin. And he has like a white shirt. I don't know how to describe
He's got an
it.
old-timey shirt.
Yeah, an old-timey white shirt.
Well, he has a sister named Emily, right?
Yeah, Emily.
And what I think is really funny is that the first shot is her getting lured away from his house and into the local witch cabin. But that's the funny part to me. There's a local witch cabin. Like, his friend's like, oh shit, the witches got her. They're over in the witch house down over yonder. It's like, bro, you got just witches nearby? It's like,
They're like they know about.
You
It's
haven't
like,
burned 'em
that's
yet? What
just
are you
the witch
doing?
cabin. Oh, they're gonna burn them soon.
well, they
Not
hang
yet.
them.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think about the opening?
That part, because I think you find that in some old English lore, right? That like there's a witch that lives outside the village, and everyone kind of knows she's a witch, but they just stay away from her, and they're all afraid. But yeah, I mean the beginnings, it's kind of jarring, really, because it's just like you've got no introduction to this society or these people. It's just like this dude wakes up and his sister's missing. But it's not bad. It works. You get introduced. You figure out what's going on.
Yeah, we get taken into the witch's cabin where they have kidnapped and put a trance on this little girl, Emily. And they are going to suck out her life force to make themselves live longer because they're all like old witches. They're only old for a few minutes in this movie.
You guys Jethro Tull fans? They got a song called Witch's Promise. It's a good song.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have it playing right now.
It's important to note here that this is a PG movie. which I'm not going to be a prude about, but I thought maybe it was pushing it for the PG category.
Oh, you mean the child murder that happens?
Yes. Okay, there you go.
The
That's the
standards were
first
different
thing
in the
here.
90s.
Yeah, when they sucked the life out of her.
Yeah, and to death. They suck her to death.
Is there a way to suck the life out of someone and not have them die?
Just some of the life.
Oh,
Dragonheart style. You can just give someone a little bit of your life.
just a piece of your heart.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
But she doesn't turn into a zombie or like, they don't show her like dying, really.
You know what? That's a good point. They don't show her corpse.
Yeah.
They put a blanket over her.
I would have thought they were trying to like turn her like a skeleton or like her like life draining out. But it is PG.
No, this ain't like a 70s horror movie. This is, this is your 90s Disney Halloween movie.
Look, they've suggested parental guidance. They're
Steve's much more
right.
liberal.
You're a parent. Have some guidance. All right, kids not
anything
here
from
alone.
PG to R
Well,
is fine with
they make the
Steve.
child
Right.
death not so bad because they suck the life out of her and then one of them burps. So it's kind of funny that they killed
Oh,
her.
yes.
She belched.
Too much life
Hilarious.
force carbonation.
Nothing scared me less as a kid than death.
Now, our old friend Thackeray here, he shows up and he tries to rescue her before this all happens, but he fails. These witches got powers and shit. They're like Palpatine. Could shoot lightning sometimes. Can
When
do
it's
telekinesis sometimes.
Just like every movie we review, the powers are wildly inconsistent. Nothing really makes sense. They use it sometimes. Sometimes when it's convenient, they don't. There's no consistency here.
They have it when they need it.
Exactly. So they kill a kid. Thackeray, you think they're going to kill this fucker. They're like, nah, we'll just turn him into a cat.
A black cat.
A black cat, because we're witches.
I don't
and we're all about
understand
that.
why. He's fairly young. Drain him too. Turn him into a cat for.
Steve's ruthless. We could use him for more life.
Well, look, they've already killed one kid. I mean, come on. It's like, now let's just turn this one into a cat. Like, why?
Then it wouldn't be PG. It'd be PG-13.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe one death is all you get. and then it's got to be.
They're in a boardroom. Okay, you can only kill one child.
Dude, you joke, but that conversation has happened before. There have been moments where they've had to cut out like they've gone to the MPAA and been like, how much blood do we need to cut out? Like 3.8 seconds. And they'll get that is exactly what comes out. We trimmed one nipple. Suddenly it's a PG-13.
Only one kid died.
Right? There have been instances of filmmakers putting stuff they knew the MPAA would want them to trim into a movie on purpose just so that they wouldn't notice other stuff. It's great.
Well, before we leave this whole intro part, we do get a few more deaths. The local town forms a mob, shows up at the witch's house, and hangs him to death.
That's cool.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good old
Yeah.
hanging.
Classic witch hanging.
You don't see that anymore. You don't see a local mob just string
Lynching
someone
people.
up like the good old days,
Hang women for knowing witchcraft.
I don't want to get into that, but the history of how
Get into
the witches don't exist, and the history of how lynchings worked in this country is not real fun. So, it's probably a reason we don't see a lot of it happening on film anymore. Like,
Oh, the good old days.
yeah,
Anyway,
right?
hang women for
You know what you
knowing
don't
math.
see anymore? People in clan outfits walking around on the street.
Steve, come on. Let's keep your hobbies out of this podcast.
The first Jewish clan member in the history of the universe.
Like that Dave Chappelle skit.
Right, I love that. It's one of my favorites.
Now, this whole series of events, maybe this is the reason it got in the movie. Because it's just a story being told in a classroom. So it kind of fades out and we find that all these events that are going on, the witch is getting hanged, the kid dying, it's just the teacher kind of recapping to her students in a high school class the story of Salem and the story of the famous Sanderson sisters.
Yes, and this is how you're introduced to Max. He's the outcast kid in the class, and as she's telling this, he's like, I don't believe it. It's nonsense.
Oh, he's the new kid?
Yeah, he's the new kid from Cali.
L.A.
Yeah. And he has the tie-dye shirt, and he's like just a total outcast.
And he's drawing a marijuana leaf.
Is he?
He absolutely is.
Wait, is he?
It's
Yeah.
a Grateful Dead logo and a marijuana leaf.
Nice.
So this kid is super LA, right? He's got it all. He's got the hair. He's got a tie-dye shirt.
He's got skateboarder hair and a tie-dye shirt, which in movie world makes you LA.
He's got the attitude.
He's got the attitude.
It's the LA-tude.
Like, he ain't having this. This is just a bunch of hocus pocus.
This happened in multiple early 90s movies. There's another one with Seth Green in it. What is the name of that one? He's with the skater kid, and he moves from LA to, like, Minnesota, and they're all like, fucking, hey, dude, what are you doing here, city kid? And
Idle Hands?
What is it?
Idle Hands?
No. Idle Hands was Devon Sawa and Jessica Alba. This one was about a kid who's a surfer and skater who gets forced to move in with an aunt and uncle in the Midwest and his cousin Wiley, who's played by Seth Green.
Are you thinking of Johnny Tsunami?
And he's like a surfer kid, and like all he wants to do is surf, the kid that moves.
Yeah, and then he ends up learning how to play hockey, and at first he just gets his ass kicked, and then at the end he's good, and he beats the bully kids.
If you know the movie we're talking about, comment it, because I really want to know the name of it.
It's not Johnny Tsunami, right?
No. It's called like Sky High, or no, Sky was a different movie. What was
that was the Kurt Russell joint.
Yeah, that was a stupid movie, right?
All right, well, this kid's from Cali. He doesn't believe in this nonsense. He even says it like, this is all bullshit. Fucking witches, nonsense, whatever.
And the hot chick in class, Allison, who's played by Vanessa Shaw. I wrote it down, but my handwriting's pretty bad. She's like, you know what? It's all real, bro. We all believe in it. And he's like, oh, yeah?
So you're all stupid or what? Like 6-year-olds?
What does he do, Alan?
He hands her his number on a full sheet of paper and says, oh, well, like, what is he like, call me or like prove it or something. And it's like he has his number on like the one corner of a fucking full sheet of paper. Like,
it's a full sheet of notebook paper.
He couldn't like tear off a piece. Like he folded up a whole fucking sheet of paper for his number. Like who the fuck does that? God, that's so.
He like does this right in the middle of the classroom. It's so good. Like only in a movie, right?
Right. He like stands up and is like, oh, by the way, here's my number.
Yeah, like prove it or like call me if you. Whatever. I don't, what the fuck does he even say?
He comes off as kind of douchey, but after class, he sees her after class, and this is where we get his true character. He's pretty nice. He's like, yeah, I was just kind of joking around in there. We should hang out sometime or something. She's like, yeah, maybe. She gives him a piece of paper, and you think it's her number, but she just gave him his number back. Like, sorry, fucker. No thanks, bro. No thanks, Cali boy. Sunshine.
You hippie bitch.
End movie.
Oh, right, yeah, it just ends there.
Well, this is where we find out that you're right. He is kind of a bitch because he rides home on his bike and he takes a shortcut or something because he's like going through the woods and he goes through a local cemetery where we get to meet my two favorite characters who immediately accost him. What I love about these two guys is that they're hiding behind tombstones waiting for someone to come by. So as soon as he rides by on his bike, they just pop out and they're like, hey, what are you doing here?
On our turf or whatever, like, yeah, you're on the wrong side of the town.
Do you remember their names?
I don't, but I remember that one of them wants to be referred to as Ice.
Yeah.
I'm Jay. This is Ernie. How many times I gotta tell you? My name ain't Ernie no more. It's Ice. Ice. This is Ice.
It's Jay and Ice.
And he's got it shaved into the back of his head in proper early 90s style.
That shit was only acceptable.
Right.
For like 5 months in the 90s.
Right? It's from like July of 92 to like November of 93 is the only time in history you could do that.
And they have no knives, they have no guns, they have no weapons, they have no tattoos. They have no like affiliation to anyone else.
No,
they're just not. They're like nobody. They're not even big. They're not like karate experts. They're just some jerks who sit down in a cemetery. Like who are they?
Just the two local scumbags.
Yeah,
they just want. They tell Max, you know what? We want cash, grass, or ass, baby. Which one's it gonna be?
It's not the type that would huff Jenkum.
But they're not big. They're not like muscular. They're just
they're dudes. They're lame.
They're lame as fuck.
And they punk Max, man. They take his fucking Nikes, bro. It's so sad.
Gee, we don't get any smokes from you. We don't get any cash. What am I supposed to do with my afternoon?
Maybe you could learn to breathe through your nose.
Whoa. Check out the new cross trainers. Cool. Let me try them on.
He has to ride home with no shoes. And then he tells his parents he hates moving there and he's all pissed off.
It's another movie trope. I hate where you moved us to. I don't have any friends here.
The two lamest kids in school just stole my shoes.
Right.
These guys are probably the nerds, right?
Right, exactly. They're two weirdos that no one else will get anywhere near, get their asses kicked by everyone else, but you bought the hard ass bit. like, bro, they were in a cemetery making out behind a tombstone. Like,
Huffing Jenkum.
Huffing Jenkum. Two complete scumbags.
No, dude, these guys don't do shit. They don't even fuck around like that. All they do is eat candy.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. They're stealing kids' candy. What kind of fucking shit is this?
Well, Max gets home and we get to see just how 90s this kid really is. He goes home. He starts playing drums. He's got a big mural behind him that's all tie-dye with a big peace sign. Mm-hmm. And this is just...
Well, he's from California.
I mean, come on.
That's what everyone's doing. I don't think I've ever owned a tie-dye piece of clothing in my life.
He's from Cali, bro. Right. I like how when Jay and Ernie ask where he's from, he says Los Angeles, and they don't know what that is. Then he says LA, and they're like, oh, Hollywood.
Right.
So good.
Louisiana?
Yeah, right. Oh, I didn't know Los Angeles is in New Orleans.
From New Orleans, boy.
Why don't you cook us up some gumbo, you little bitch?
Anyway, we meet his sister Danny, who's about like 8 or 9. And she's like, it's Halloween. Can you take me trick-or-treating? And he's like, no, I really don't want to go out. I've been humiliated all day.
Little Thora Birch.
Yeah, it's Thora Birch.
Yeah.
She was in American Beauty.
She's in American Beauty. She's in Ghost World. She played the Jack Ryan character's daughter in 2 movies based on Tom Clancy books. What else? She's been in a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, she was in that Bad Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We don't speak of it. Don't even think about it, Steve.
Right, terrible.
Anyway, she says, I want to go trick-or-treating. He's like, no, I don't really want to. The parents aren't doing it because they're going to some, like, parents-exclusive dance that's taking place in, like, town hall or some shit. But he's forced to by his parents, of course. So he goes and takes her trick-or-treating, and he's not really having a good time. They run into Jay and Ernie again, and he just gets punked again in front of his sister.
So, you're doing a little trick-or-treating. Ding dong! Woo!
Just taking my little sister around.
That's nice. Whoa, I love the costume.
Yeah. But what are you supposed to be? A new kid on the block?
For your information, he's a little leaguer.
Whoa! Ooh, little leaguer. Whoa!
Yeah!
Wait a minute. Everybody pays the toll.
Stuff it, zit face.
Why you little?
Hey! Ice. Here. Pig out. Come on, Daniel, let's go. Jerk.
In Hollywood, the shoes fit great.
Now, these fucking guys, I mean, I hate to harp on them so much, but they just spend Halloween walking around town, robbing little kids and threatening to kick their asses, right?
Yeah, to take their candy from them. I mean, it's like $1993. What's a bag of Halloween candy cost? $1.95? $2?
There's not even threats of like violence. It's almost like just implied. They never say like we're gonna kick your ass. They're just like give us your candy.
Or if you're gonna do that and your hard asses, go steal bags of candy from the drugstore.
Go drink beer like a regular person.
Right? Or yeah, do something that 17-year-olds should be doing on a Halloween. It's like, you're in somebody's backyard because their parents aren't home drinking beers,
No shit.
What you want to do is steal candy from 8-year-olds and then stuff yourself with it. Like, you know what? When you're at the store stealing the beer or buying it with your fake ID, you can grab some candy at the same time. Now you got candy and beer.
And like, where's these kids' parents or like older brothers to like kick their asses?
There's no adult anywhere at all. I mean, I got to a point when I was 11, 12, whatever. My parents would let me trick or treat in the neighborhood by myself. But the younger kids there were parents everywhere. There was no way there wouldn't be adults around.
Like, hey, you're stealing candy from kids. I'm gonna like kick your ass.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Somebody would have done something. Yeah. You can't stand in the middle of a street on Halloween shoving 8-year-olds and not have somebody eventually say something.
But these guys can because they're the local
Different
bullies.
time.
Yeah,
1993?
I was 10 in 93. I remember 93. It wasn't that different.
So Max is kind of humiliated because of this whole situation with the bullies. So him and Danny kind of take a walk, and they eventually have a heart-to-heart where he's like, "Look, sorry I've been shitty. I just don't like it here." And she's like, "Well, you know, we gotta make do. This is where we live now." And she's kind of the more mature one. They decide to go have a good time trick-or-treating. Fuck all the bullshit. Let's just start over. So they go to a big house, looks like a mansion, right? But instead of knocking on the door to trick-or-treat, they just kind of mosey in.
All right.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was weird. They just walk into Allison's house, and like once they're inside, they just kind of shout, "Trick-or-treat!"
But they're like well into their house. Like you just kind of like entered already.
And they go straight for the giant thing of candy. They're just like gonna fucking take it, right? They're like,
Right.
no manners, these two.
Just walk in and steal stuff.
Steve, what happens when they meet up with Allison? What do they discuss, and what do they do?
Well, I wanted to make quick note that when they go to that house and they wander in, they end up getting... No, wait. No, that's the witches. I'm thinking of the witches. Never mind. You're right. They go in and they steal candy, and then they hook up with Allison. And, it turns out that Allison doesn't feel like she'll be noticed if she's missing, and she'll go with them to see the house that the witch sisters used to live in, which she knows all about because her mom used to be a curator when it was a museum.
Yes. So she knows about the museum, and they're gonna go check it out.
And what do they find there?
They find a lot of cobwebs. It's very dusty. It's kind of the cliche, like, look, it hasn't been touched for like a long time. It's dark. Everything's dirty and dusty as they're going through it.
What do you think of it as a set? I mean, personally, I really like it, but...
It looked good. I mean, I don't know. I mean...
I just didn't want to gush too much, but I guess here I am. I love this house. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
one.
little stuff in this movie with the sets that I like. And it's kind of like Hook for me, you know, super nostalgic kind of thing, but I think it looks really cool. It's the Disney haunted house kind of thing. It reminds me of like the Haunted Mansion, where it's like kind of creepy, but it's not like too scary. It's just kind of fun and silly.
Disney bought the original script for this film in 1984 and ended up sitting on it. And it was supposed to be a little bit darker and a little bit scarier originally. And the original title, it wasn't Haunted Mansion. It wasn't like the one they ended up making with Eddie Murphy, but it was called like Disney's Haunted World or Disney's Haunted House or something like that. And it was more similar to that kind of idea, yeah.
Okay. So it would have probably been like more of that, like...
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I do like this place, but in there they see like the witch's old spell book, which like has all these like rumors about it, like it was made from human skin and...
Dude, it clearly is. It's got a fucking eyeball embedded. It looks
that
a lot
part's creepy.
It looks a lot like Sam Raimi's version of the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're pushing the PG here.
All right.
Fucking eyeball in a book made from human skin. Like, they don't dwell on it, but I guess we don't think about it. But then if you think about it, it's like, that's fucked up.
The eye moves.
Yeah.
The book is sentient. Like,
Made from
ugh.
human skin.
I know if they described how they made the book like in any more detail, like,
Right.
it would have been too much.
Yeah.
But in this house, we also have the black flame candle. What are the rules with the black flame candle?
I'm not sure I really completely get it. It was like rendered from the fat of someone they had to sacrifice or something like that. And if you light it, it creates the power that lets them do stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get the rules either. I just got that if you light it, they come back.
So it's very specific. Not just anyone can light it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, here we
Only
go.
a virgin can light it, which is something they hammer on many times afterward.
This might be the first time they reference that out of like 35.
Right?
How do you guys feel about being a little kid and learning what a virgin is?
I'm not sure I really understood it. Like, I was sitting in the movie theater next to my aunt, and I wasn't about to ask her. Like, that might have been what instigated me to ask my parents what a virgin was, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's weird because now that you mention that, I remember that from the movie. But yeah, it was weird.
I watched
don't
a
know.
lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have watched when I was a kid. I'm not talking about this, but stuff that like involved sex, and there would be like things that were referenced that I didn't understand, and I just never really asked. I was just like, that's just a grown-up word I don't get, whatever.
Right.
I'll just roll with it.
I did a lot of that too.
Yeah.
And then at some point, years down the road, you're like 14 or whatever, and you're like, holy shit, I understand what that means now.
I gotta go watch Hocus Pocus again.
Right.
So here's the rules of the black flame candle. A virgin has to light it on Halloween. Under those conditions, the witches will come back from the dead because of a curse that they created just before they died.
And that's the curse they chose?
That's the one.
Oddly specific.
Yeah, it's
but,
oddly specific.
So, you know what, this witch stuff is always like, oh, you gotta have like a fucking frog's leg in a full moon or some shit.
I do like that, all the cauldron stuff, and they've got all the like the racks full of that. I mean, you see that a lot in like movies where there are witches, but they've got all the racks with all the weird shit on it for the cauldron.
You need a dead monkey, a half a bottle of whiskey, and
Right.
3 feet of rope.
No. The half a bottle of whiskey's for me.
So Max, being a virgin, in case you don't know at home, Max is a virgin.
Yep.
He lights the black flame candle and then something starts to happen. It's like the room starts to shake, wind starts blowing, all the lights go out, and then the witches come back.
I like the movie The Witches.
What about The Witch?
Which one was that?
It was like a 2015 or 16 film.
Was that the one with Vin Diesel, or is the witch hunter?
No. No, not quite.
Shut down so fast. Just no.
No,
Is that on our list?
No, see, that's the reason I'm saying no. Because I want you guys to forget that movie exists, so we don't have to review it.
Cat's out of the bag.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Thackeray Binks is out of the bag.
Yeah. There's no turning back.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh boy.
Let's just have a rule. Like, the only Vin Diesel movies we do are Fast and the Furious movies. We can all agree on that, right?
That much I can probably agree with you about. I don't know. Triple X and Pitch Black are pretty good candidates.
Yeah. Chronicles of Ridiculous. How about that one?
Escape from Butcher Bay.
It was good. That was a pretty good game. I have to admit, that was not a bad game.
Alright. So the witches are back because the virgin lit the candle.
The fucking virgin.
This might be the funniest one we've ever recorded.
Well, it's certainly killing you.
It is. I find this hilarious. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to shut up.
He's a
Lit
virgin.
the candle on Halloween Eve or Halloween. So they're back.
They are back. And they are ready to eat some kids, man.
Yes.
They see Danny, the little girl. The other two are hiding. And they just want to eat her, dude. They're like making like food jokes. They're like, oh, she's plump. Little Shishka baby. She says, oh, I'm not hungry. I don't want to stay for dinner. And they're like, oh, we are hungry. And they're like going to grab her and put her in the pot and cook her, I guess.
Yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
She's like the
Have a sandwich.
witch from Hansel and Gretel, where she keeps kind of... Is that Hansel and Gretel? She keeps trying to cook them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's the only time they want to eat a kid, to my knowledge. Usually they just want to, like, suck out their life.
Right.
So this is kind
Possibly
of
fuck them. I don't know. Like, there's some kind of weird, like...
This kind of follows the theme of the movie where it pushes that PG bound. Like they don't show them actually eating her, and they never really show anything super gory, but they kind of allude to it, like they're gonna eat her. They tell her that, like, oh, we're gonna eat you, and on the surface that's way fucked up. But they don't really show them doing that, or that never really happens.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff's like alluded to.
Couple of high and mighty guys here have never tried kid.
So yeah, they're gonna eat Danny.
Yeah, they're gonna eat her, right? But Max shows up and he's like, yo, you ain't gonna eat my sister, not on my watch.
It's kind of echoing the beginning of the movie.
It is, exactly. And it also echoes Return of the Jedi, because, I mean, Winnie, she just has that Palpatine shit going on, right?
It's true.
She just handles him like fucking, like Palpatine handled Luke.
Oh, with the Force lightning.
Yeah, she's got Force lightning.
Yeah.
Should have thrown him down a shaft. Thrown her down a
She
shaft.
does lift him up like against the wall.
She has the
pretty
Force
high.
too, yes.
Yeah.
She's trained in the dark side, I think. Now, there's a little bit of a scuffle, but Max has a trick up his sleeve to kind of get out of there. He has the burning rain of death.
Oh, yes.
Basically, he lights the sprinkler system. And we get our first of many gags where it's like, oh, they're not from this time. They don't know 90s tech. They don't know 90s things.
Yeah, for now. Until they do sometimes.
until they do sometimes, sure. This is one of the first, like, recurring jokes like that, though. Like, the sprinkler system goes off, and they start freaking out. Like, it's the burning rain of death. And like, they act like it hurts, because they don't know. And Max escapes, with his girlfriend, or with the girl and his sister. They take the book and the cat. And this is where we find out a big reveal with the cat. The cat can talk.
But not always. They're never explicit about it. I think there's a theory that the cat can only speak when the candle is lit and two people who have been participants in lighting of the candle.
What? Where is this from?
Yeah, where is this from?
It's actually kind of a prevalent discussion point about the film. It's just something people have bantied about on the internet and stuff. It's never mentioned in the movie, but at the beginning of the film, he's already in cat form, like at the funeral, and his father's there, and he can't speak. If he could speak all the time, he would have spoken to his family. He hasn't spoken to any other people, but the people he does speak to are the three witches and Danny and Max and Allison, and they were all people who lit the candle.
This got way too deep.
Oh, yeah. Shit. See, I thought he just, learned how to talk after a couple hundred years.
Oh, yeah, I mean, maybe this is not a proven, the filmmakers have never acknowledged that as being a yes point. It's just what I've read around before.
I'm going to go the opposite. I didn't think anything about it. Oh, look, he just talks.
Right. Alan's like, why didn't he talk before?
Maybe, now that you mention it. But yeah, they get the book, and Thackeray goes with them, and they escape. And then they figure out that they're not allergic to water and that it was just a trick.
Right. But, we got to have a few more gags as for the fish out of water kind of jokes, right? So they go to start chasing the kids, and they see fire trucks, and they freak out and hide. And they say, oh, they're witch hunters. They got axes, and they got this big device.
Is this where they get on the bus?
Yeah, a little bit later, but yeah, we could talk about that.
Oh, okay, because they have to get on the bus to get across town or to get to them. And this is there's a whole big thing here where they're just really confused about the bus and what it does, and they're all over the bus driver.
Yeah, the bus driver pulls up, and they're kind of flirty with him, right? I mean, am I reading this wrong, Steve?
No, absolutely. He even jokes about impregnating the three of them.
Bubble, I'm in trouble.
Tell me, friend, what is this contraption?
I call it a bus.
A bus? And its purpose?
To convey gorgeous creatures such as yourselves to your most forbidden desires.
Well, Nancy, we desire children.
Hey, that may take me a couple of tries, but I don't think that'd be a problem. Hop on up.
Marvelous.
Wait a minute, because when he said, "Oh," there's a scene there, and they're like, "Oh, we need children," and he's like, "It'll take me a couple tries."
Yeah,
right.
PG movie. Now, I thought that he was gonna help them steal or abduct kids, because that's what they said, right? I didn't get the fact. I didn't get that joke, I guess.
Not all bus drivers are bad people like that, Alan. Just some of them.
Okay, let me read that. If you're supposed to be a kid, you're not supposed to get that.
I definitely didn't get it.
That's what I mean. So I was like, oh, he's gonna help them abduct kids. They need kids to eat. Isn't that the point of the movie? How are you supposed to know that?
I don't think it occurred to me either way. I just didn't understand what it meant.
Yeah. So they're on the bus, and they're all over this bus driver, and Sarah Jessica Parker's super hot and flirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a part that, I don't know if it was before or after. It doesn't matter too much, but the talking cat, Binks, he takes him to a graveyard, and he says, witches can't walk on the graveyard, so we're kind of safe here. But then the witches, they fly in overhead, and they resurrect Doug Jones from the grave.
They do.
AKA Billy the Butcher.
Billy the Butcher.
We get another Butcher Billy. Not the one from The Boys, but this is a different Billy Butcher.
Not to be confused with Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York.
Oh, fuck.
I think this is right around the same time when they're around the graveyard and Thackeray Binks gets hit by a car. Or does he get hit by the bus?
I don't know. He gets run over, though.
He gets run over, and you think he's dead, and they're all sad. But then it actually turns out he can't die.
Yeah, he can't die because of the curse or whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. He's flattened out and they show it, but then he expands. It's
It was a weird practical effect. They just expanded him. It was like a balloon with a cat on top of it.
He's like, I hate when that happens.
Right?
Can you imagine working on the set? All right, we need a cat on top of a balloon.
I mean, it probably was less weird than having to put sex jelly on an alien costume for ID4.
It's not that weird.
It's like Sunday night. Whatever.
Now, Thackeray Binks is voiced by a guy called Jason Marsden.
It's hollowed ground. Witches can't set foot here.
He talks.
He is a very famous voice actor, actually.
Yeah.
I looked through his IMDb, and it's just like a ton of animated stuff, but the one that really struck my eye is he did the voice of Max in a Goofy movie.
Listen, about my directions. Will you listen to me? I gotta tell you something, Dad.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he does a lot of voice work. Now, the guy that plays Thackeray Binks as a young man, the human form, did not voice him. He was ADR'd. He was a guy called Sean Murray. But they did pretty good ADR, I think. Like, they got it to match, like, pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, I did not remember that.
What's the point, or why would they not have the same guy who played him do the voice? Wouldn't that be more consistent? Like, what's the point of having a different voice?
They probably just like this guy's voice better.
Yeah, I mean...
And they probably like the other guy's look better. Like, they want him to look this way, but sound this way. So, it's mostly a voiceover role. I mean, there's not a whole lot of the Thackeray Binks as a human, right?
That's true, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, so they're on the bus, and where do they get to the other side of town, or they get to wherever they were going.
Yeah, there's two key things that happen next, and it doesn't really matter which order we talk about them in. But we'll talk about this one, and that is where they encounter a police officer. So this is the kids and the cat, and they go up to a police officer, and they're like, oh, we need your help. We need the cops. The Sanderson sisters are back. We lit the black flame candle. They're flying around on broomsticks. They're shooting Palpatine-style lightning at us. They're trying to suck the life force out of my sister, and or eat her. We're not totally sure. We got this book with an eyeball in it that was made out of human skin.
Let me correct you, Corey. You missed an important fact.
Oh?
You didn't mention a virgin did it.
Oh, fucking virgin. That piece of shit.
And he's a virgin.
You gotta throw that in there. You gotta mention a virgin did it. Which I think they do mention to the cop, ironically. Or don't.
And the cop, like, makes fun of him, kind of. He's like, oh, so you're a virgin, huh?
His sister's like, he's a virgin.
So you've never had sex? You've never felt the joy, the pleasure of inserting yourself into another?
Well, kid, if it hasn't happened by 14, it's not going to happen at all. You may as well get used to being celibate.
Sucks to be you, kid.
Right? Calling you Monk Max from now on. You're going to go live in a monastery.
Look, I'll get it tattooed on my forehead, okay?
Because, like, all right, can we drop the virgin shit? There's witches about.
Oh, don't worry. We have to keep reminding you for the next 2/3 of the movie.
Well, it turns out this is actually a man impersonating a police officer, right?
Yes. Yes, he's not even really a cop.
Yeah, he tells him like to get lost, and then his like girlfriend starts talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not even a cop."
Is he this legal? He's in full cop gear. I mean, he looks like a cop, right?
There are definitely rules. I know with vehicles, like if you've got a police car, you're not allowed to have any insignia on it while it's being driven. Even with like movie prop cars, if they're moving them on an uncovered truck, they have to put black magnets over the police department logos. But as far as like the outfit, I don't really know. I mean, impersonating an officer is definitely something you can get a ticket for, or arrested for.
I've mentioned this to Steve a couple times at least, because a lot of guys like getting the cop cars, the Crown Vics, and a lot of them like driving those around. They're cool and totally legal. But sometimes they do push it pretty hard, or like they have like the mirrors and they have cages, and you can't have the lights and like actual like logos. But some guys really make it look like they're cop cars.
Yeah, I mean, the sirens are borderline, I think, but you're allowed to have the bull bar, you're allowed to have the spotlights. Yeah. You can make it look substantially like a police car.
That's what I mean. Like some guys push it pretty hard.
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of sketch.
Well, I like that scene with the cop. I think it's pretty funny, especially how he just makes fun of him. Steve, why don't you tell us about what's going on at the same time? The Sanderson sisters, they go meet their old pal Gary Marshall.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're wandering around town and they see a man who they think for a moment is Satan, standing in front of his house panning out candy. It turns out to be, it's actually, in real life, it's Gary Marshall. And he goes inside, he takes them inside with them, and his wife, who in real life is his sister, Penny Marshall, is in the house, and she's got rollers in her hair, and one of them, Sarah Jessica Parker's character or Kathy Najimy's character says, oh, he's married to Medusa. She's got the snakes in her hair.
Yeah.
All right. And he, for some reason, the Gary Marshall character seems intent on like having these women in his house. He's like really enjoying having the three of them there for no expressed reason. And the Sarah Jessica Parker character asks him to dance, and he just starts dancing with her. And the wife, who's been irritable and not liking having house guests the entire time, like walks in on him dancing with her. It's like, what the fuck is happening here?
She's having none of it.
Yeah, GTFO, bitch. Like, it's time for you to be done.
These three weird women who think they're witches, which they actually are, but...
Right?
So the relationship of Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall, IRL, they're brother and sister?
They are brother and sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Imagine having to play a role in a movie where you're married to your sister.
It's kind of a weird choice. I mean, I can understand wanting to get the two of them in there, but, then just don't make them a married couple. They could have been almost anything else.
It's got to work for the scene, man.
Right, yeah.
The witches, they get kicked out, and they see all these trick-or-treaters around, and they're looking for kids. They're hungry,
Nothing fills you up like a kid.
Which, this part doesn't make a lot of sense, because they keep going after Danny, but they're literally surrounded by kids. Like, why can't they take any one of the kids that they're, like, right next to or in the middle of Halloween?
Bette Midler's character specifically wants Danny because Danny called her ugly.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. So it's just like a personal vendetta, like there's no... It's really their fault. They could have eaten any kid there.
You're absolutely right, and especially from a practical perspective, because they know they've only got until the sun starts coming up to find a way to keep themselves alive. So it's like at this point...
The book.
Oh, yeah.
They do have the book. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Oh, that's true, because Danny's got the book.
The book.
But seems like they could have eaten some other kids along the way.
I guess they need the book because the book has instructions on how to create the spell to give them everlasting life.
Yeah.
Eat the kid.
That they have a kid drink and then they suck the kid's life force. But also separately, they just want to eat kids too, I guess.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, I guess.
Cannibal witches.
Kathy Najimy's Peggy Hill's voice on King of the Hill.
She is?
Yeah. And the whole time I kept thinking, that's Peggy.
Peggy.
Yeah. Peggy's annoying, so I kept wanting to be like, shut up, Peggy. But
Tell me, what is it like to live without shame of any kind? Is it a good feeling?
Okay, so they're, what happens next? They chase them down to the high school?
Not quite yet. The kids, since they couldn't get help from the cops, they decide they're going to go to their parents.
I forgot to make a notice to bring a second ago, because this kind of thing's really important to Alan. So I want to make sure I mention it. The fake, because I looked this up earlier, the fake police officer is riding a Kawasaki KZ1000.
Oh.
I just want you to know that. All right, we're good now.
It's not a Kawasaki Ninja?
No, it is not.
No,
Okay,
not
well,
a
it's
ninja.
not good.
KZ1000P, which really was a police bike.
Okay.
So he could have definitely gotten a fine.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't know. I mean, borderline. I don't know exactly what the law there is, maybe.
State to state, yeah.
All
All right, so the kids go to the dance where all the adults in the town are attending. It's like a party / Halloween dance, I guess. They do see their parents. The dad is he's like Boris Karloff Dracula, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and the mom is Vogue era Madonna, I guess.
Oh,
with the
yeah.
pointy nipples or the bra.
Yeah, the pointy tits. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that would have been very recent at that point. So yeah.
But yeah, they meet him at this party and they try to tell him about these witches, and the dad's like, "What are you talking about? Calm down, you're insane." It goes how you'd expect, It's the typical cliche where at first everyone's like, "Oh, you're not making any sense. What's wrong?"
You left your son to watch and go trick-or-treating with your 8-year-old daughter, and he shows up at the party you're at claiming there are witches running around, like real witches causing havoc, they're trying to eat kids and shit. And basically the two of them just get sent back out and the parents go back to partying. Like, they spend the rest of the night at the party. There's no way. My dad would have been like, we're going home. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but something's happening, man.
Where he gets up on stage and he points them out and they're there.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to catch them, but I don't remember what happens after that.
Well, I like what the little girl Danny, she goes up to the mom and she says, they're after us. It's the Sanderson sisters. They're really real.
Right.
And the mom's response is, how much candy have you had? Like, come on, man. Like, what? How much candy can you have before you start fucking tripping off acid? Like,
right?
what?
Thinks witches are chasing you. Oh, you've had too many Butterfingers. This always happens.
You know what? Yeah, you eat 6 and you're like fucked up, bro.
Right?
Like,
You get too much candy in you. You're hallucinating about witches. Last week it was Beelzebub. I don't know.
How much sugar do you need to affect your brain?
Well, the witches show up here at the party, and they kind of steal the show.
Yeah, she puts on, Bette Midler really puts on a musical bit. And when she gets up on stage, she says, I can't remember her character's name now, I'm blanking, but she says, hello, Salem, it's me, something. How are you? And that, she was aping a line from what was originally a stage play called Gypsy. And Bette Midler played the title character on Broadway in Gypsy for a long time. And I think at some time within like 10 days of this movie hitting theaters, she was also starring in a television version of Gypsy that was going to set to air. So it was kind of like an inside joke.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
Right.
Now, the witches, they do perform this, like, song, I would say song and dance number, but it's a song. They get up on stage. It's basically a spell. And I really like the song that goes with it. I think it's kind of cool and fun. That's just my own preference, but what the spell does is it contains all the parents in this building. So none of them can leave. They all have to stay and dance because they're all like entranced now. What do you think of that whole bit, Alan?
It's cool. I mean,
Penguin did it better.
Penguin did it better?
He did.
When he showed up in his giant duck?
Right, exactly. Just started taking kids, putting them in circus cars.
I don't even know how to put it when it breaks into the musical bit, because I guess if you've never seen it, you don't expect it, but right when it happens, I'm like, oh, it's kind of expected right when it happens. Like, here's the musical part, or the musical bit. It's very cliche. You know, here's the musical part when this happens. And
it's a family picture.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's one of those things I didn't expect or I don't remember, but then right when it happened, I'm like, oh yeah, here it is.
Yep.
Here's the part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in agreement. I'll go with it. Yeah. The kids kind of get out of there, and they're like really panicking. They're like, what the fuck are we gonna do? They're really onto us. They're gonna kill us. They're too powerful. They got magic. They got Palpatine style powers. They come up with a plan to go to their local high school and burn these fuckers to death. Old school, man. That's how you handle a witch.
PG movie.
These guys know their shit.
Killing the witches.
They decide to kill him. I mean, they're not gonna shoot him to death or anything, but they'll burn him.
You get a weird little, like almost Saw Jigsaw-esque like scene here when Max gets on the PA system. Somehow they have access to his high school in the PA system.
Yeah, the PA, every room.
Yeah, every room. And everything's kind of empty and dark, and you hear it over the PA, and Max is like, oh, welcome to
high school hell. I'm your host, Boris Karloff Jr.
I don't even know what he says.
High
Like,
school
welcome to high
hell.
school hell. We're going to play a game today. And he's kind of like the cocky attitude, like, oh, we got you now, like you're in our territory.
Welcome to 90s high school, bitch.
Welcome to my turf art class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's an art class that they get lured into, right?
Yeah, because they've got a giant pottery kiln that they lure the witches into and just burn them up in there.
Are you a pottery aficionado? Because I never knew that's what it was.
No, but I remember the kiln and pottery class
Yeah,
in
I
high
used
school.
the kiln.
So,
But it's more like an oven, not like an actual huge-ass room.
yeah, one of the schools I went to had a pretty big one.
Of like a room?
Yeah, I think it was like built in.
Wow.
It was an outside one.
The
But
biggest one has it was like a big oven, but it wasn't like a room.
So you could stick 3 witches in this room in your high school, theoretically?
I mean, it's a long time. I don't remember. I remember it being fairly large. I don't know if it was really big enough for 3 people, but
If you like crammed them in there.
yeah, maybe. You know,
But this one's pretty big. It was like a full fucking room.
And they get locked in there, and they just fucking crank it up to, what, 400 or whatever?
whatever, you know. It actually takes a lot of heat to burn a person up. Crematoriums need to run a lot of heat. I don't want to get too into that.
This is a PG movie.
Right?
A lot of heat. Yeah.
Lots of heat. Anyway, shit gets
But
hot.
it does show them like actually burning. I mean, in the
Yeah.
oven. Like it shows the fire, and they're like, "Oh no!"
But it's like funny though, because they're like, oh, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Like they're, you know, like a cartoon character would. Like, oh, ooh, it's hot in here.
You got to keep it PG. Like they're dying, but it's funny.
It is funny. And then they think they killed the witches, so they go celebrate in front of the
Fountain from Friends.
Yeah, the Friends fountain.
In Burbank.
That section of that back lot has a bunch of movie houses. I can't remember the list off the top of my head, but I think Thora Birch may have even been in another movie where she was supposed to live in another one of the houses on the same fake street.
Do you know what's
There's a bunch of
crazy?
stuff there.
Is that this was 93. Friends came out in 94. And they definitely filmed it before it came out, so they probably filmed that friend scene like right after this or right around the same time.
Close, yeah.
Like really close. Because it came out in 94.
It's like, all right, move out, Sarah Jessica Parker. Step in, Jennifer Aniston.
that pretty much almost exactly happened. I would not be
Courtney
surprised.
Cox.
Yeah.
No, just Jennifer Aniston, the real star.
The real star.
I don't know anything about
When will
Friends.
she find love?
Come on.
Is that the thing?
David Schwimmer?
That is apparently the thing, that she's constantly being portrayed in tabloids as just being like lonely Jennifer Aniston. She can't have a relationship that lasts, and will she ever have children?
She's doing fine.
Yeah, I think she's all right.
She's all right. I got problems. She doesn't have problems, man.
She doesn't have problems.
She doesn't have real problems.
She's rich and famous. She can't have problems.
Exactly.
Money makes problems go away.
Yeah.
Indeed. Also,
Yeah.
murdering witches makes problems go away.
Well, that's
Unless
what I-
Temporarily.
unless they're not really dead, which they're not in this case. We find out that the witches, they weren't really burned alive. They were just like kind of turned to smoke and then they reformed because their witch magic will not allow them to be burned. They have,
Yes.
I guess, created a counterspell for that old method because
Yeah.
it was probably a very common way of taking them out back in their day.
Well, it kind of goes against the whole, like, burning them at the stake bit from the mythology, right? Because then they'll just, like, come back.
Well, wait a minute. In the beginning, then, if they hanged them, how do they not come back for 300 years? Like,
It's weird, you're right, that they needed a curse to save themselves from that, when in this instance they get
They
put
just
in
came
an oven,
back?
and they get turned into smoke, and they just come back
yeah,
from
why
being
didn't they just
smoke.
come back from being hanged?
It's too bad the kids didn't hang them. Just fucking string them up.
Yeah.
Like I said.
No, see, that's how you end up with the It Clown. 300 years, they just come back again.
Oh, fuck.
That's how you end up with a PG-13 movie.
Pennywise.
An
that's
unrated miniseries.
Right.
Director's cut.
You guys like that It miniseries from the 90s?
The one with Tim Curry?
Yeah.
I do. I mean, you know, it's not like the same level the new movies are, but I like it. It's cool. Yeah.
I've always had a soft spot for it, but
Yeah, me too.
it doesn't quite hold up, as it turns out.
Well, you know.
Anyway, so the kids, they go home to Max's house, and they're like, all right, we won. We killed the witches. All is good.
End of movie. See you later, everyone.
Peace. Thank you. All right, you can write in at big... No. So the witches, they get out, and they go cruise the streets, and they find our two favorite characters,
Cruising the streets.
Jay and Ernie. Or, it's not Ernie
Ice.
anymore. It's Ice. Sorry.
How many times do I have to tell you it's ice now?
Oh, God. How many times have they had that conversation?
A lot.
It's shaved into my motherfucking head.
Well, what are Jay and Ice doing late at night? It's like 3 a.m.
You want to smash some pumpkins?
Nah,
Well, then you want to look in windows and watch babes undress?
it's 3 o'clock. They're undressed already.
Well, then you think of something.
I don't feel so good.
Because you're eating too much candy, you oinker.
They've TP'd every house on the block.
They're just standing in front of a house they just TP trying to decide what to do.
I think they're still shaking down kids, aren't they?
And they say like all the kids are gone.
Oh,
They've had
It's
too
3
much
a.m.
candy. They're considering going to like become peeping toms.
Oh, yeah. They said, let's go watch, like, the chicks undress. Which is weird.
But they are abducted by the witches. The witches show up and are like, you know, what time is it? I don't know what the fuck they asked, but Jay and Ernie call them like ugly or something. So they get like put in these little cages back at the witch's place.
Yeah, there's kind of a quick cut. They just kind of show them mouthing off to the witches, and then the next cut, they're like trapped in their place.
Yep.
So you're like left to assume they just like kidnapped them and said, "Fuck you guys."
I mean, they're technically kids, I guess, so they got some kids on their hands now, right?
I mean, they look like they're about 25. But, you know.
They're 17.
Yeah, of course they are. And Luke Perry was a teenager on 90210.
Is it? This is post Jay and Silent Bob, right?
The original Clerks, I think, was already out at this point.
Okay, because Jay looks like Jay.
Right, he does, it's true.
And then Ernie's like built like a little stockier.
Right.
He's like Silent Bob, except he talks. Whatever. All right, so the kids are back at home, and they open the book to try to figure out a way to get Binks to not be a cat anymore.
Was it Allison? Allison opens the book.
Yeah.
And when they open the book, she says, "Oh, everything looks normal, but it emanates like this like really powerful glowing light and this like beacon that just like shines out of their whole fucking house. But everything looks normal."
Everything looks normal here.
Yeah.
It might be a giant beacon on our house now, but that always happens.
That the witches immediately see and like, oh look, there's the book.
I think the idea is it's like only visible to them.
Oh, okay.
That's always been my take. Steve, anything?
I think you have to be right because the book is glowing intensely in their face as they're reading it, and the two of them are like, "This is normal. This is all totally normal. Yeah, this is fine. I'm good." Like
this like book with a fucking eye on it that's made from human skin.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's made from human skin. It's got a moving eye in it. It's glowing.
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
They never like poke the eye though. Like they never like try to kill the book. Like
right. He tries to burn it at one point.
Yeah, that's true. But like poke the eye.
That'd be weird as fuck. I thought about that. I was like, nah.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to interact with the book very much.
You guys ever see the movie The Gate?
Oh my god, yes.
No.
Yeah.
That old 80s horror movie with the kids?
Absolutely.
Remember that part where the kid looks at his hand and it's an eyeball because they opened the gate to the other dimension and he like takes the piece of glass and he just like...
Whoa, it's terrible.
He just stabs the eyeball in the center of his palm.
Yeah.
They should have done that with that fucking book.
Whoa, man.
Now we're going to get into the R territory here.
Yeah.
We're going to go from PG to R really fast.
For sure. Skipping 13.
Yeah, I mean, once you're stabbing eyeballs in books. Whew.
But the witches show up at the house. They take the book. They take Danny. They kick Max's ass. And they get out of there. Now they have Danny back at their place. And they're like, all right, we're going to finally do it. We're going to summon Danny. We're going to summon more kids. We're going to suck out Danny's life force. She's a bitch. She called us ugly. So we have a vendetta against her.
Yeah.
And we get the part where Sarah kind of like flies over the city on her broom and or vacuum cleaner. I don't remember what she's using at this point.
She's using the broom. The other witch has the vacuum.
She has like a mop, I think.
Or a mop, yeah.
She is doing her little "Come Little Children" song.
I actually like that song. I don't know if it was just the pace or the tone, but I felt like that was more creepy and that fit the whole movie more than the other musical bit earlier. Because this one was more like kind of like the creepy, slow paced.
She's
like trying to lure in the people. Yeah.
Yeah, she gets all the kids to basically be in this trance state, and
exactly.
They're all slowly walking toward the house. No cops or parents in sight, of course, in this little town. They are not present for this. I guess every adult is dancing. Mm-hmm. I guess
it's very soothing. It gives you like the allure, like you said, like the siren. You know, it's not like overtly loud or like aggressive. It's kind of like the soothing, but something's wrong. You know, it's not like a good thing.
Any thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the siren song to draw the kids in. It's kind of cool and creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Max comes back to the witch's place to try to rescue Danny. And he does his final trick up his sleeve, which is he fakes that the sun has come up by like shining lights inside. Mm-hmm. And of course the witches fall for it. So he gets Danny and gets out of there. But I mean, like right away, they realize the sun hasn't come up. I mean, it's like immediate at this point. And they start chasing him down on the road. They're like flying on their vacuum cleaners and brooms and mops.
You know, I forgot. I wasn't thinking about it at the moment. When they end up at Gary Marshall's house, there's a kid in front who's dressed up like Michael Myers from the beginning of the original Halloween. You know, you seen that one? Seen the original Halloween?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You know, at the very beginning, he kills his sister, and then he ends up on the front lawn wearing the clown suit and the mask.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, there's a kid on Gary Marshall's lawn that's wearing the same outfit.
Oh, I thought you meant like the Shatner mask.
Oh, well, yeah, I think it is. It's a mishmash. It's a Shatner mask with the clown outfit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is kind of where it takes us to our final confrontation of the witches and the kids, where they get to the graveyard, where the witches can't walk on. So they send their zombie guy. And the zombie guy, Doug Jones, he does capture one of the kids, but he switches sides.
Yeah, here's the twist.
Here's one of the twists, yeah.
Where he captures him, but then he doesn't really do anything, and he's like, well, screw you, witches, and he starts like going off on them because he actually hates them too.
Yeah. I mean, they've like tortured and killed this guy.
Yeah, they sewed his mouth shut, and he cuts the stitching on his mouth open so that he can, what does he call her?
Yeah, he calls them like hags or
whatever.
Something.
When he cuts the binds, the threading, and he opens his mouth, he coughs dust and a couple of moths come out. And Doug Jones has said that the moths were real. They weren't CG. They actually put moths in his mouth. And he really did cough him out. And then this is actually the second instance of that, because there's a scene earlier in the movie where Sarah Jessica Parker's character is supposed to eat a spider, and she claims she really ate the spider. So,
oh God,
right?
This movie is more horrifying than I thought.
Right?
All right, that's it. PG-13.
I don't like any of that. Imagine having to eat a spider for a fucking role.
The moths I could probably do, but the spider's a little weird.
Where's that? What was the name of that organization that was on Men in Black that made sure none of the roaches died?
Oh, it's the ASPCA or God damn it! They're on a lot of films where there's animals. Usually they're there to protect like cats, dogs, horses. But you're right, Nat, because they were there to like watch and they were counting the cockroaches individually.
They weren't counting the spiders though.
I guess not.
In Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, somehow they got away with it on this one.
What?
Spiders didn't count.
No one likes spiders, dude.
Or cats.
Right?
Only one cat was harmed in the making of this film.
Alan, why don't you tell us about the graveyard scene and the final confrontation?
Yeah, so the zombie turns on the witches, and Allison surrounds the whole grave with salt. Because earlier, somehow, I don't know where she got it from, but she just mentions it out of nowhere that they can't penetrate a circle of salt. She might have read it in the book.
Yeah, it was the book.
Okay, it was the book. So she circles the grave in salt, and she makes Danny get in the grave. And they're like, stay here, they can't get you. And they kind of just like run off to distract him.
But she does get out of the grave.
Yes.
I mean,
just
do we get the little dipshit award for this moment? I mean, come on.
Yeah, she's a little dipshit.
Just like Gizmo, dude. None of this would have happened if she stayed in the grave.
Gizmo's a good boy.
Gizmo had to stay in the drawer.
13 Ghosts wouldn't have happened if those kids in their stupid nanny hadn't wandered off.
Every movie, like, dude, just don't do this thing, and then they do the thing.
Like, every movie plot is based on that, I think.
Right?
Every movie plot ever. Alright, don't do this thing. I did it.
I did it. It is, well, just, you can cut from, like, the beginning to, like, 45 minutes in. It's like a 2-minute scene, don't do this, and you skip right to I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
And then you can skip right to we fixed it. Movie's over. It's 3 minutes long.
But at what a cost?
Right? The last scene is just them standing in front of rubble. No explanation how it got there. Smoke.
No, it's the Thanos scene. It's done. What did it cost you?
Everything. You know what? We can make a cut of Avengers Infinity War where at the beginning Tony says, Thanos cannot get that stone. And then it shows him, he's like, I got the stone. And then at the end, it's like, what did it cost? Everything. Just those 3 scenes.
Summed up in this one.
I mean, you could cut it like an episode of Arrested Development. You know, Tony's like, he cannot get that stone. And then Ron Howard's voice is like, he got the stone.
Yeah, you know what? Or
the narrator.
Right.
The Wonder Years, too. It's like the same. Yeah. I swear to God, every joke in the Wonder Years is like... I knew at this moment nothing worse could possibly happen.
It got worse.
And then like you hear like rain clouds. Like it's always some shit like that.
Suddenly I felt in over my head. And then, the next night, it happened.
He said everything was fine. Everything was not fine.
Well, everything is not fine here because the witches have a little bit of one potion left that they can use to suck out someone's life before the sun comes up. They have Danny. They're holding her hostage. There's a scuffle. Thackeray Binks jumps up and scratches the witch. They drop the vial, and Max gets it. Now, he takes one for the team, and he drinks it. And he says, all right, you have to suck the life force out of me now. Suck me off, baby. Get down here and start sucking.
It's going to get sucked off by these witches.
Right.
If I'm going to die, I'm going to go out being sucked.
You guys find it weird he read that line looking Kathy and Najimy dead in the eyes?
Hey, man, everyone has their own preference.
That's cool.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
So, yeah, he takes the potion and he's like, all right, start sucking, bitch. And she comes down. She flies down to him. You think she's going to, like, suck all his life force out? But the sun starts coming up, and there's a little bit more of a scuffle, and she falls down onto the ground and gets to end up turned to stone, because I guess that's what happens when the witches touch the graveyard ground.
The graveyard, yeah.
And then the sun kills the other 2.
All of them, basically, right?
Yep, they're all gone. They're done. It is over. There won't be a sequel, except there's one in the works.
Which no more. I don't understand how there could be a sequel.
Well, if you recall, at the very, very end, the eye opens on the book.
Ah.
You know what sequel we need? Super Mario Brothers. I want to know what happened when Daisy showed up and she said, "You guys won't believe what happened."
That's exactly how. I mean, it's a scene at the end of the movie that there were going to be sequels. Thank the God I don't believe in that there weren't
You
any
didn't
more.
see the Koopa Kingdom Civil War?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Koopa Civil War. Koopa with a gauntlet.
Mario versus Luigi Civil War.
That's Captain Mario World Dio.
Captain Mario. Iron Luigi. Metal Luigi.
He has to get the infinity mushrooms.
So, where it kind of ends is Thackeray Binks the cat. He got killed by the witches, but he's dead for reals. For realsies this time.
Yeah, you get a nice awkward scene with his ghost. I thought that was unnecessary and kind of weird.
Well, you just wanted him to be gone and then be like, fuck.
No,
that
I mean...
fucker's dead.
But, like, the whole ghost thing, like, they're, like, talking to his ghost. It's
What's
like
wrong,
fucking,
bro?
I don't know.
Not a
It's
Patrick
just weird.
Swayze
No.
fan?
I'm not a fan of, like, spiritual
Should
entities
have
in
been
movies.
the Devon Sawa ghost from the end of Casper.
I mean, it's the same shit. What's the difference? Who
This is like
cares?
Return of the Jedi shit, where they see the fucking ghosts, and it's like, oh, everything's fine, you did it.
Except somehow Anakin's young and Obi-Wan's not.
Here we are.
All right.
Here it is.
I'm gonna kill you, right? I'm never gonna let it go. Anyway.
So yeah, Thackeray Binks is like, oh, like, he gives this whole speech, like, you did it, you know, the witches are dead, I'm free now, like, don't be sad, you know, I'm free, I can be with my sister Emily, and he kind of wanders off and disappears, and everything's good, like, they did it. This is pretty much the end.
Except for Jay and Ice are still caged up in the house, but I guess someone will find them eventually.
Yeah, no one really cares.
At least Max stole his shoes back, but still.
Jenkin Huffam graveyard hanging out weirdos.
When they get out, they're gonna fuck him up, I bet. Because Max, I mean, he went through a lot of shit, but I still don't feel like he can, like, throw down properly.
No, he would not even try to defend himself. He just lets himself get beaten up.
I mean, he really didn't even fight the witches. There was no, like, actual real fighting here.
Maybe after this, like, they go try to bully him. He leads them into the pottery oven, and he burns them alive.
Maybe he reads the book and then, like, eats their souls or whatever.
He becomes a warlock or
Yeah.
something. Like,
You ever seen the movie Warlock?
no.
It's a terrible movie.
I played the game.
Oh, it's actually a pretty good game.
Yeah,
That's the
it's not
sequel. He becomes a fucking warlock and devours his bullies.
That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Any final thoughts before we go to, like, ratings and all that about the ending? Anything you guys want to say?
Bette Midler has described this as being one of the two favorite projects of hers she's ever been in, which I think says a lot. She's been in a lot of significant films. She said the other highlight for her was voicing one of the dogs in All Dogs Go to Heaven, I think that was, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the ending was cool. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the whole spiritual ghost part at the end.
I know we talked about the Super Mario movie a little bit. There's one tie-in to that I thought was really interesting. So there's a song called Almost Unreal by a band, Roxette. It's like a two-man band, except one of them is a woman. So it's a man and a woman. They wrote that song for this movie, Hocus Pocus, Almost Unreal. But it was used in the Super Mario movie instead, because it was a song that was written and then Disney owned it.
Interesting.
And, you know, when they did the Super Mario Brothers movie under Hollywood Pictures, they used that song for that movie instead. So if you watch the music video for that, it's all intercut with Super Mario stuff. But if you listen to the lyrics, there's Hocus Pocus references.
I love when you do that hocus pocus to me. The way
Man.
That's
deep, right?
Yeah, it's way deep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a song, the artist got credited as the initial Q and then the name Lazarus. She was a cab driver. She got found by somebody. She recorded a song called Goodbye Horses for the soundtrack of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, classic song. That's
Classic
where he
song.
tucks his dick.
Right, but it was supposed to be a reference to a scene that got cut from the movie where Clarice talks about living on her aunt and uncle's ranch and having to witness horses being put down. And the song ended up getting reused. I think for some reason it didn't actually appear on the soundtrack for the movie. It ended up getting reused years later in a what's her name?
Black Beauty?
No, it ended up getting used in a
Seabiscuit.
what's the name of the Tracy Ullman? It ended up getting reused in a movie with Tracy Ullman and Kevin Kline about a woman who keeps trying to kill her husband. It's actually a comedy, believe it or not, and based on a true story. It's like what's that? Rasputin. It's like the Rasputin story. She tries like poisoning him and stabbing him and bludgeoning him and this and that and 3 other things. She just won't die. Like, yeah. Anyway,
What a trip.
yeah.
Well, guys, I've been giving this some thought, and I think it's time we discuss it. It's a question that I'm sure we're all been thinking about as we've been watching the movie. This question has been sponsored by our old pal Josh at Spoilers. Who is the Jesus character in Hocus Pocus?
Thackeray Binks.
Why?
Because he comes back to life at the end after he dies.
Steve?
I'm going to argue with that. Thackeray doesn't come back to life. He just goes back to being a ghost. I'm going to say it's the witches, all 3 of them.
Isn't that what Jesus did?
Because he was in a physical body and then he ascended to heaven.
As a ghost.
No, he had a physical body.
For a little bit. But
Yeah,
then didn't he...
but Thackeray never got a physical body back.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's the witches because they did die and get their physical bodies back and then went somewhere else.
The Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity. That's not what the Holy Trinity is, but that's fine.
Steve, you are correct.
Right. Oh, thank you.
I would have also accepted Jay and Ice.
Nice. I want to be honest, I've never won this game on purpose because I'm still not sure I understand what the rules
I
are.
think I'm just taking this too literally. I'm just going to start throwing out random names. Next time.
Sometimes it's because the character had a beard.
Nobody had a beard in this, though.
Nah.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
Are you saying Grizzly Adams is Jesus?
The implications.
I would never say that because of the implication. All right, guys. Alan, on any rating scale you want, what are you going to give Hocus Pocus?
I'm going to go with 4 out of 10 witches.
Oh, man.
It wasn't a bad movie. I'm not going to talk shit about it. It wasn't poorly made. I thought there was a lot of cool effects. It wasn't that entertaining to me, but I guess perspective because it definitely is a kid's movie. But I never it wasn't agonizing. It wasn't maybe a little too slow. But, I mean, it's a kid's movie. It's what it was. There was some funny scenes. The cat's cool. But nothing super special, at least to me. So I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay, I thought you would have rated it higher, but all right, fair enough. Steve?
I'm going to give this one 7 out of 10 witches cauldrons. The costumes are great. The set design is nice. Not quite on the same level, I don't think, as Hook, but still very cool. It's fun. Bette Midler really camps up her entire performance. So it was a lot of fun to watch. Kathy Najimy and Sarah Jessica Parker are both good in their parts as well. The kids are mostly fine. I think Thora Birch was the highlight of the children's cast. She's got the most attitude about her part. Most of the other adult roles were largely wasted, except for a few moments with Gary and Penny Marshall. There's some little quibbles. Definitely not perfect. Gotta consider the fact that it's mostly aimed at kids, but I liked it when I saw it. I rewatched it a few times over the years afterward. I think it's still a fun film now. I think there's a reason that, 20 plus years after it was written, well more than 20 years at this point, there are still midnight screenings of this movie. There's still a cult following for it. People show up to see it. It was a pretty good one.
I agree with you for the most part there. And on my rating scale, I'm going to give it 60 out of 72 virgins.
Oh, the Muhammad scale.
Is that how many times I mentioned the word virgin?
The classic Muhammad scale for this.
Yes, we don't see that one used very often.
So, I really like this movie a lot. It's like one of my favorite Halloween movies. I like the look of it, and I like the hokey acting, and I like the stupid 90s bullies. And I like the stupid 90s lead, Max. He's so corny. He goes home and he plays drums in front of his fucking peace sign mural. I love it. It's just like a fun romp kids Halloween movie. And very much like Halloween Town, it's like one of those classic kids Halloween movies. You put this on for a kid of any ages. I mean, sure, there's some stuff that might be questionable, but you know what? I'm kind of the old school mindset where kids can handle it. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's not that bad.
It's fine.
But
I like it a lot, man. It's a lot of fun. It's very nostalgic for me. So yeah. 60 out of 72 virgins.
Well, I don't know what that is as a percentage, but it's not
know
bad.
either.
That's some fraction that I can't even imagine.
Right?
Now, I mentioned Halloween Town. I really do want to know for our listeners what you guys like better and
really
why.
do know that
So if
fraction.
you would comment that if you're listening on YouTube. Also, if you are listening on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. It'll help us out. You can write in, email us at bigdumbmovie@gmail.com. This is normally where we do about the hat thing, but we're doing our Halloween series / horror series. And the next pick is Alan's pick, Jason X, which we'll be talking about next time.
Yes.
Very excited for that one, actually.
I am too.
Haven't seen it for a few years, and I remember just laughing a lot.
It's horrendous.
I have not seen it.
I mean, that's a tire fire of a movie.
It's good.
I'm ready.
It's really good. It's an A+. It's better than Shawshank Redemption in a lot of ways.
I'm not going to
What
speak
about
to you
the
for a
Green
while.
Mile?
Anyway, write in. Leave us a review on iTunes. That's a big one for us. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, find our podcast listed there. When you scroll to the bottom, leave us some words. Give us some stars. That's what they say at Spoilers. You can literally type in anything. Just give us a positive review. It helps us out a lot. So I'd appreciate that. Any final words from the Peanut Gallery?
You can message me on Instagram. I made an account. I'm definitely going to try to get into that more. So I'm going to leave some comments if you have any questions.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's Spike AG.
Spike AG.
Yeah.
Also Big Dumb Movie Podcast. You can find us there too. Steve, where can people reach you if they want to talk to you specifically?
You may as well do it through Big Dumb Movie because I'm not on the social medias so much as these youngsters.
Okay, can I leave your phone number?
Definitely give them all my phone number because there's
818, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
There's no weirdos on the internet you wouldn't want to have that.
Okay, guys, it's 818.
Oh my god! I do have a few parting words though. I'm going to keep it simple. Simple words. It was there. Stuff. Those are good. Those are good words. I'm gonna go with that.
How about jizz?
Jizz is just a good one. Smegma. Smegma's a great word.
Don't forget yeet. Yeet's the popular word with the kids
Yeet.
nowadays.
I don't know what it means, but it sounds funny.
No, the kids say get yeeted.
Get yeeted.
Leave
Get
us some
yeeted.
big yeets,
I am
childrens.
too old for words like yeet. Yes.
Not me. I'm a young buck. I'm with the young generation. I make absurdist humor memes.
You're part of the Pepsi generation, and that reference proves that I am old.
Yes. Well, this is where we should end, but here we are, still going.
Yeah, I feel like a bear.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time. Jason X. Have a good one. We love you.
See ya.
Good night.
You just don't understand the Rock's background.
Yeah, Steve. The problem is you don't get it with The Rock. That's the thing.
You don't know where he came from.
I just don't smell what he's cooking.
Exactly.
I'm a total jabroni.
You know something's in the oven, right? You've been made aware of the situation, but you don't quite smell.
Is it leftover pizza?
He's the people's champ, but he's not Steve's champ.
The people's champ. I have to be all about Goldberg. I'm sorry.
Current Goldberg, or like old man Goldberg, or like 1994 Goldberg?
Right? 94 Goldberg for sure.
Pete Goldberg.
He's still around, Jesus.